All right, and welcome back here on the channel. It is Mr. Jamzad for the Fandom Zone News segment. Welcome, everybody. A little side note, if you're new to the channel and you're joining, did some coverage on some other stuff my on the DC fandom. So check that out. I'm gonna have some videos going on.
What's that noise?
That sounds like feedback. Check that out. I'm gonna have some videos going on.
What's that
Now
noise?
somebody has the stream up.
Do you have the stream up on your computer? Check that out. I'm gonna have some videos. If you do, mute it.
Now somebody has the stream up.
Stream up on your computer. Check that out. I'm gonna have some videos. If you do, mute it.
I don't think I do.
Yep, that's on your end. Hold on. I muted you. All right. Good.
Okay, good. It wasn't me.
Welcome, everybody. We're back here on the channel. Welcome to Fandom Zone News. Today is the serious kind of news segment where we talk about real life issues. This isn't my normal coverage of entertainment. You guys can check me out through the week to get that. If you're new to the channel, hit that like button. And if you happen to pop on by, you like what we talk about, subscribe, because I need ad revenue. So welcome, everybody. I got
Jesus.
Father Zod, Big Lee with us, the investigative reporter, the man who brings facts, because you know I'm not. Welcome, Big Lee. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you.
And of course, we have the #1 co-host. I don't know how he self-proclaimed this, but
Why the
Mr.
hell not?
Pop Culture, he's like the artist formerly known as. Welcome. Are you ready to talk about the Crypt Keeper, PB?
Hell yeah.
You've been waiting for this for a long time. And welcome, Lemon Pie. Lemon Pie was here. Hopefully it wasn't on that terrible fandom stream that I did for the DC fandom. That was just awful. Welcome, Jamie Vick. Great to see you here.
What's up,
Jamie
Jamie
Vick. I love Jamie Vick. She brings a lot of levity and sanity to the comments. So hopefully she enjoys this topic we're going to talk about. Nancy Pelosi. This is really interesting because we go through, in case you guys don't know, I actually set this stream up in advance. And we were talking about this, and Big Lee brought up some really good, awesome things. And I was like, can we do an hour stream? And according to him, yes, we can. We could probably go 5 hours, but we're only going to go an hour. But anyways, we're going to dive right into this, get into some facts. And, you know, she's an interesting character. And let me ask you something before we get started. There's been a lot of endorsements from the Democratic side for this Kamala Harris, Joe Biden alliance, this wonder dream team that the Democrats put together. Jesus Christ. I don't know who's doing this and why they think it's a good idea, but that's besides the point. Pelosi, before we get into her background, is she throwing her hat in with the rest of the Democrats and saying this is the greatest thing since sliced bread? Is she behind the powerhouse of Biden and Kamala?
Were you asking me?
Oh, no, I was asking Big Lee. Apparently he's refreshing. There we go.
Yes.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Figures right now. Well, okay, getting right down to it. I did a lot of investigating on Nancy Pelosi, and the most amazing thing, she is her life story is pretty incredible, and not for the good. There's a lot of bad things going on in that family for a long time. But you know, the stuff that she's been accused of and the things that she has, we're going to go over pretty much as we can. There's so much, I can only go through so much to get into the show. But I'm going to start off with she comes from a family. Her father was Thomas D'Alessandro, was his name. That's her maiden name. And he was also the mayor of Baltimore. He was the mayor of Baltimore from 1947 to 1959. And then she has another brother who's passed away since. His name is Thomas D'Alessandro, just like his father. And he was the mayor of Baltimore 1967 to 1971. So can you imagine why that city never had a shot? But it was always talked about that her father, Thomas D'Alessandro, was a known, he used to run with a gangster, a very popular gangster back then, that was in all the crime families of the Baltimore, Philadelphia areas and stuff. And everybody knew it. He was, all the people he hung out with were basically of Italian descent. And so the one person that he hung out with was the Godfather. And he would be seen to him whenever he went to ball games or whenever he went out to restaurants. They would always be seen together. And that's pretty much the way Nancy's life started off. Was who her father was, a very powerful man who's also spent some time in Congress. Eventually, he lost his election, and all through his election, all his time, he was always accused of being a very corrupt politician. Your typical in that area of Baltimore, Philadelphia had Rizzo. They had very corrupt mayors of these cities. And he was very, very corrupt. And what happened after that, though? They had a son named Franklin, named after the president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt D'Alessandro, and that was Nancy Pelosi's brother. And he's an amazing character because he's passed away too. But in 1953. He was accused of a gang rape in an 11 and 13-year-old girl. And he went on trial with a group of guys. And from what they're saying, and it was never brought up, is that these girls were the same age as Nancy Pelosi. They were associated as friends with Nancy Pelosi. But anyway, I'm not blaming Nancy Pelosi for anything that happened here. But the brother was part of a gang rape. And him and the gang, they all went to a court and they were all found innocent. And then you say, oh, well, great, they were found innocent. But the problem with that was they were found innocent. And then a couple of years later, it came out, they were coming down with charges that they would lie to the court and that they set everything up. So her brother, who was 20 at the time, would be found innocent. And so he was found innocent, but then they used their power. This man her father was a very powerful man. And even though the grand jury came forward and said that they should be indicted again, it never happened. So that son basically went on to be an accountant or whatever, and something along those lines. And the evidence was, these two girls swore it was him and a group of guys, and the shame part, they were 11 and 13 years old, these two girls, and that was basically the beginning of the corruption. Part of the corruption and the atrocities by the Pelosi's, which we'll get into many atrocities by the Pelosi's and their family, that's pretty much on that. So if you want to ask me anything on that, Lee, go right ahead.
All right. So my big question is, in the modern day, with her throwing her hat into endorsing someone, is it safe to say that with as much power as clearly her family has accumulated over the years, and how she does, and I apologize for the synopsis, I had her down as a senator. That was my fault. She's a speaker. But with the kind of power she holds, anyone that she backs, is it safe to say that she has the pull to really propel them in this race? If she says she's backing someone like Biden or Kamala, does her word hold weight? Is that a pretty big endorsement? Is that enough to really help their campaign take off? I mean,
She's
how big is her endorsement to anyone
well,
running?
she'll decide if, you know, well, the public is going to make the votes and decide, but they're going to need her backing because she is the most powerful woman in Washington. And after Trump, she's the most powerful. And not only, and the reason that her and Trump are always going at it because they're gutter fighters. And anybody that underestimates this woman is really making a mistake. She's 80 years old.
She controls a lot of money.
Oh, and the money part we'll get into. It's amazing, the money part. And yeah, she controls what she's known for. The main reason she's a speaker, people have tried to bring her down. But she is known for being the best raiser of money in Washington. You know, there's a couple places where the senators and Congress people, they all meet, House of Representatives, they all meet, and they're given sheets of paper of how much money they're required to come up with every month. And that's basically what congressmen and congresswomen do. They spend their whole time in Washington getting donations instead of taking care of the people. And the whole thought behind the 2 years was they didn't want people, the Congress people, House of Representatives, they didn't want them to have longer than 2 years to run, which I think was a big mistake because the minute they win their election, they're running for their next election. But she is very powerful in that way, and she controls, you know, and this is her second time as speaker. And the first time she was speaker, everything went to hell. And she basically got thrown out of office, and Newt Gingrich came in, and then she came back. And there's a group of people that can't stand her, but I'll give you an example of how powerful she is. Everybody knows how powerful AOC is. She's very powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
the squad.
But she just spoke 1 minute at the Democratic National Convention because pretty much Nancy Pelosi was saying, hey, bitch, I run the show here. I'm going to give you 1 minute on TV. Go and endorse somebody. So AOC was so pissed off, she didn't endorse Biden. She endorsed Bernie Sanders right on TV. And that should have been talked about all night long, that basically, AOC is like sitting back saying, well, you know what? This old goat's 80 years old, and I'm going to be sitting in her chair pretty soon. And either that or AOC will be mayor of New York, but one or the other. But I can definitely see her being the Speaker of the House. But Nancy has been known to smack people's hands when they tried to mess with her because she is very powerful. And a lot of her corruptions, she was really in bed with, I feel sorry to say this for George Bush, but the son. Her and the son did a lot of things that together with the stuff that they did back in the 2000s. And we had the crashing of the economy in 2007 and 8 when everything crashed. It was basically her and George Bush's fault for a lot of stuff that they together they passed. They passed a lot of laws together. I'll give you an example. She refused the bailout of the car industry in 2005. And then, right after the crash happened, she approved the bailout 4 years later. She's been under all sorts of investigations. I mean, back in, so we're going back in 2012. Steve Kroft, who was worth 60 Minutes, caught her off. She was going to do an interview. She had no idea that she was being set up by Steve Kroft. And he came out, and they found out that Nancy Pelosi and her husband were involved in eight stocks that Nancy Pelosi passed laws, but she pushed laws through the Congress. And I'll give you an example. One stock was with Visa, the Visa credit card. And at the time that she bought into it, it was worth $44 per share. And what happened 2 days later, it was worth almost $70 a share. And her husband bought thousands of shares of Visa. And basically, they made a ton of money off this. And Steve Kroft of 60 Minutes brought her up on it. And, Nancy did her usual real nasty attitude. And but see, that's the thing with Nancy. They've caught her so many times. And, when you think about what her brother did with the rape, she came out and when she was going after Judge Kavanaugh, she was actually mocking Kavanaugh as a rapist. And, nobody came up to the fact and say, so what do you think about your brother? You're saying that men are guilty when they rape somebody until proven innocent. So a good reporter would have said, so Nancy, was your brother guilty even though the court found him innocent? And so that right there, that just shows you what type of person she is. But nobody brought her up on it. And you wonder, where the hell has the media gone? Where, the investigating reporter, where have they gone? This, the stuff that I have in front of me that I researched on Nancy Pelosi is everywhere all over the internet. Anything that I give you is stuff that anybody watching this could look up. They can just go into YouTube. They have lots of videos on stuff. And all this stuff is sitting there. And it's all easy stuff to prove. Okay, what do you think about that, Lee?
This is very interesting because we have talked about, especially in Hollywood, me and PB, we've talked about how, especially now in the Me Too era, right? In the era where guys are always wrong, believe the women until proven, it's not true, things like that, right? They've been adamantly going after so many people. So many people have been being taken down. But then you look at these politicians, Pelosi's brothers, and all these other people who have been long-standing Congress members.
You can say Joe Biden and the women
Joe
that got
Biden
in the way of
sniffing,
his nose.
Yeah, Joe Biden sniffing people's hair on national TV. Like, there's clips of him just grabbing someone's hair and sniffing it. No one knows what. They're like, oh, Biden's so crazy. Isn't he funny? The senile old guy. He's like a teddy bear just walking around. Anyways,
what gets me is when a couple like a month ago, she literally said about Trump and his family that it was a crime family, and at that point, I'm wondering why Trump does not come out and blast her for all this stuff, because there's so much crime in her family, much more than ever. I've never heard about Donald Trump's sons or daughters doing anything wrong. They work for their father. They got families. They got kids. They never had no trouble with the law. But her family's had all sorts of trouble with the law, and no one ever calls her on it.
Here, let me ask you something. Let's skip ahead to getting past the whole thing with the brothers. What about her herself? What was her rise to getting her position? Was there any kind of corruption or anything a little bit fishy about her getting nominated, bribes, things that can be proven, or things that besides the stocks, because that's highly illegal with Bush? But like, when she first got into office, was there anything that was sort of a red flag, or anyone who kind of helped pull strings, or you know how these senators work, dads
It's who her family was. Her family, she lives out in San Francisco, and her family is from from Baltimore, and they were very powerful. And the most amazing thing, as powerful as they are, none of them are nearly as powerful as their daughter, because the brothers are gone now. They passed away quite a few years ago. The father's gone, and now the things that they're catching her up in is, I'll give you an example. Her son, Paul Pelosi, he's a really not a very nice guy. Let's put it that way. I'll give an example. There's a couple of videos that anybody, if you put in the name Karina Fang, Feng, there's a couple of videos right on YouTube where an ex-girlfriend of his came out and she made the following statements. One, when they met, she was pregnant a couple months, and so it wasn't his baby. And he had a fight with her one night and told her that he was going to kill her if she did not get an abortion. Okay, and then they had a they had a very tough time together. And this woman, she owned a building. It was a big building in the San Francisco area. Her and her father owned it. So what happened was the father got sick. And the son, and as she was going out with Paul Pelosi, she claims that he forged some papers and put the buildings into his name. And every time that he got on the phone and talked to anybody, and this is what's illegal, any conversation he ever starts off, he says to people, "I'm calling you on the behalf of my mother, who is the Speaker of the House." That's illegal. So basically, he's calling people, and right off the bat, he's saying, "My mother's the Speaker of the House, and you better speak to me, or I'm going to call my mommy." And so Paul Pelosi, with this woman, Karina Fang, this video that I watched doesn't have many hits, and it's an incredible video, you know. And so what happened to this girl? So she decided that he was too violent, and she wanted to break up with Paul Pelosi. So Paul Pelosi told her that she had to leave the building that she was in because she found out, and she was about to go file charges that he turned the building over into his name. So what he did is he attempted to take the building, which was commercial/residential, so there could be a residential. So Paul Pelosi figured to get her out, what he tried to do is have the building made totally into a building that was commercial, so he couldn't have nobody living there. He lost that case. So what happened is he found a couple bums on the street, and he brings them up into her house and tears the kitchen out, so she couldn't cook or anything. And in the process,
wait.
he tore the whole kitchen out of the house. Yep.
He hired some random people to tear a kitchen
as he was walking in the building. They were out in the street, just hanging out in the corner. And he brought them in, and just is kind of sad and kind of funny. But anyway, so he goes up there, and while they're tearing his kitchen apart, he's in front and pushing the refrigerator with one of the guys from the street that's helping him. And the girl claims the refrigerator fell over and landed on this guy. And she yells at him, "Why are you doing this? You're going to kill that poor guy." And he yells at her. He yells at her, "Good, let the bastard die." You know, so, you know, this is this Paul Pelosi. He's a psychopath. And so after he does that, they got into so basically he took the whole kitchen out and left her there with no kitchen. And then when she was going to court to try to get the building back, Social Service showed up and took her kids away because he filed charges and complaints and said that he's seen these things going on with the children. Eventually, this woman got committed to an institution. And she claimed that when she was in this building, that Nancy Pelosi would walk around in one of the offices downstairs doing business calls and stuff. And she went to Nancy Pelosi to talk to her about her son. And Nancy said, "Oh, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it." And Nancy never did anything. And this stuff I'm telling you is right on the video with this girl saying, so this ain't me making up some fake news story, because it sounds so so unreal. And and then he was telling her that the FBI was.
No, it's fine if it's a fake news story. We put CNN as one of the hashtags.
Yes. Yeah. Well, all of them are fake news now, including Fox. You can't trust any of them anymore. Anyway, so they pretty much broke up, and it never really. She claims that when her father was in the hospital dying, she overheard the Pelosi telling the doctor that it was okay to pull the plug on her father. And yeah, I mean. And basically, he wanted to run people out of the building, and because he wanted to turn it over into like a slum type building hotel.
Sounds like she would be good friends with Carol Baskin.
I don't know who Carol Baskin is. PB, PB, who's Carol Baskin?
Carol Baskin is the Tiger Queen.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
Who killed her husband.
Yeah. They're still
allegedly.
Well, allegedly, yeah. You better not say nothing, PB. You might disappear. Don't mess with that woman. Right now I'm messing with Nancy Pelosi. I may not be around tomorrow, but anyway.
I'm the safest because
so
she's
anyway,
gonna have to give me my mobile studio.
So basically what happened is this woman's still fighting to get her children back from the state of California because she claims that because of her war with the son, that guy, when they met, her father and her, they owned a building. And now the building is like a hotel for drug addicts and stuff. And there's drug paraphernalia all over the place. He's basically destroyed the building really good. And this was as of 2019. I don't know what's happened in the last year, but that's up until 2019. And
wow, so this story is not just so everyone who's watching. Welcome, 7 people watching so far. Welcome everybody. If you don't know, kind of recap, we're talking about Pelosi's son, who apparently is really wow, a piece of work.
I thought you were gonna say really white.
Well, yeah, more than likely, but he turned this building into like a slum building. This is 2019, people, and he's still running the building into the ground, which was under Fang's name. His girlfriend at the time had her committed, took away her kids, and now she's still battling to get the kids back. And this is really interesting because a lot of politicians talk about revitalizations, fixing stuff up. And here we have Pelosi's son essentially being a slumlord, and I'm just going by what I'm hearing, and running this thing like back in the 80s and the 90s, New Jack City style, with all of these vacants in this building. That's crazy because whenever you hear about these epidemics, whenever you hear about drug issues and stuff like that, it's always like the black
talking about me again.
Yeah, PB. Damn you. Anyways, when we hear about these, we always hear that, oh, it's the black community bringing in the drugs and stuff like this. But I mean, there's a white dude who turned a perfectly good building, into what it is today, and he is the son of the speaker, who apparently knows about all of this and is not doing nothing. And the most mystifying thing in the 2019 media that we have, where Trump can drop a pin and people will say he did it on purpose, no one is covering the fact that Pelosi's son is out here hiring bums to clear out kitchens.
To get his woman.
You can't make this shit up.
And so he came out and said the woman was delusional and they never went out. And then she came out and showed about 1,000 pictures of them holding hands, sitting on the couch, being together. I hear background noise. Do you know who that is? Someone have a radio on in the background or something?
Oh, no, that's why PB
okay,
mutes himself. Anyways, this is this is crazy. This is unbelievable how all the time we hear about how certain politicians are doing all of these things. But with someone like Pelosi, you see that the media doesn't want to come after these stories. And people, this is not made up stuff. We're not coming in here and just spouting out stuff. You can go and search this stuff up. You can go on YouTube
Yep.
and find these videos and it just enter
Anything that
in.
anything that I talk about in this show is always stuff that I have brought forward, I have researched. And if anybody ever wants to say to us, where did you get this from? Maybe you're just making it up. We would gladly give to anybody. So I just want to let you know that.
Well, I'm sure
gonna-
that Lee will not have the link in the description. Or Zod, my bad.
I'm not that professional. Anyways, PB, you want to read that comment? And welcome, Nicole. That is an awesome comment, and I love it.
Nicole says, I come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. I'm all out of bubblegum.
Okay. Wait, I think that this might be Nancy Pelosi. Nancy's all out of. We got to watch out now because Nancy's all out.
I don't think Nancy can get her foot that high.
You remember she last time she kneeled down, they had 3 people help her get off the floor. So I'm sorry. What's that, Lee?
So we have sort of her son going around doing these crazy things. Media's not covering. We have the biggest bombshell, which is that she was in it with Bush. They were pushing certain stocks. And, this is nothing new. During that time, there was a lot of talks about certain people investing in stocks when, the market was taking a dive. And then, it comes on the uptick and everybody, look, you're foolish to think if these congressmen and stuff who are representing us don't get into these things, they don't mess around with the markets, and they don't buy in at the right time. That's nothing new. But there's certain things.
When she came into the Congress, she was worth a few $100,000. And last count now, Forbes is claiming that she's worth about $150 million. But there's other stuff that says she's worth more than over $220 million. And her and her husband, because of insider dealing and buying, they said at one time there were 9 IPOs that they bought into, and that when they were bought into them at that time, Nancy Pelosi was dealing with those bills and stuff in the Congress. And so also the Bushes were involved in this. So, right now, if you notice, all of Bush's people are coming out against Donald Trump, and we're like, well, why is Bush's people coming out? Because Bush's and Nancy Pelosi are tight. People, talked about Bush like he was like, walking around and had his finger up his ass, didn't know what day it was. Obviously, Bush was a pretty smart guy. And Nancy.
Oh, yeah. His oil deals are legendary. We all know about the oil prices and the family getting into that. They're making millions of dollars off those deals. So,
and you have Trump coming out talking about that. And then, but what gets me, the most amazing thing is, can you imagine if it was Don Jr. that went into his girlfriend's apartment and tore the kitchen out just to get her out of the place? Or he went in there and turned it into a slum? Can you imagine if it was, this is how blind, because the media hears about all this stuff. They know about all this stuff. If a schmuck like me can go online and I can find all this stuff, and I don't find it just once. I found it several times. When you got a reporter like Croft from 60 Minutes, I don't believe he's alive anymore. Maybe he is. But anyway, he came out and he's the one that talked about these IPOs with Nancy.
He's gay?
No, I didn't say that. What are you talking about?
You said he came out.
Oh, okay. You're so twisted. But anyway, so when he did come out, flying out of the closet, He basically he ambushed her and asked her all these tough questions. And you see Nancy Pelosi ripping up scripts. When she was with the president, she ripped it up in front of him, and the things that goes on. But I'm wondering why Trump hasn't said to her, well, or why Trump hasn't turned to his attorney general and said to his attorney general, can't we get a case on this woman for something? Because it's obvious that if you're, but the problem with, and that's another thing, there's no case because William Barr, who is the top attorney for Trump right now, guess who else he was the top attorney for? Lee?
Yeah, I don't know.
Come on. William Barr, the attorney general right now, was also the attorney general for Bush.
Oh.
So why would he come out and bring cases against Pelosi? Because in those cases, if he brought cases against Pelosi, who's going to be implicated in those cases?
Well, yeah, because then you'd have to say, and the other big question would be at that point, well, if you can bring up these cases now, why, when Bush was in office, why didn't you move forward with this too? And then you start down that chain, and you know how these things go. You're always going to snag all of these people who came in from the other administrations. So it's, for them, it's a bit pretty tough thing. And the funny part is, I'm just going to say it. We had this witch hunt against Donald Trump forever since he's been in office, which proved nothing but how corrupt the CIA and all of them were. And, they went through this whole big song and dance, turned up practically nothing. But like you said, nobody wants to start a case against Pelosi or any of these other people.
She'll bring everybody down. She'll bring everybody down.
There'd be no one. There'd be no one in the White House.
No,
you wouldn't even have Secret Service. There'd be absolutely no one left. You'd have the water.
And I think that Trump knows this. Trump knows he can only go so far because if he made too many, he has a lot of enemies, including a lot of Republicans. If he did something like that with Pelosi, but he could very easily say, and that's the one thing. If you watch this whole thing, he's never talked about the corruption, which is so obvious and is out there with Nancy Pelosi. She probably, her and Newt Gingrich, who was the other Speaker of the House, they are two of the most corrupt individuals that ever were in that office. People think it's the president who's the most powerful person in Washington is the Speaker of the House, because the Speaker of the House controls all the laws. And another thing about Nancy Pelosi, she sat on the board for Medicare. And so what happened, she bought into stocks with a bunch of drug companies. And these drug companies, she decided Medicare was not going to pay them their money. So when they didn't pay that money, that drug or stock plummeted. So she knew what stock to have. She knew what company to destroy. That's how much power we're talking, and then she made tons of money. And that's what this Croft guy on 60 Minutes said to her. He said to her, how can you sit on the Medicaid board, be the head of that, and make these laws with these drug companies when everybody in Congress who's not supposed to have anybody that's near any of those committees are not supposed to have any of that stock, but they do. They're the most filthy, corrupt people going.
This is, here's the irony about this. We talk about the Enron scandal, right? ExxonMobil, all those ones that got into trouble for insider trading, manipulating the stocks, caused million or thousands of people within the company to lose jobs. The big corporate guys got away on their boats, whatever, right? All those guys got nailed to the cross. But we have Congress essentially doing the same exact thing, manipulating, tampering the stock market and the prices, and then swooping in when they're not even supposed to have any stock. They aren't supposed to have any stake in this game. And this has been the age-old argument when people bring up about government regulation over this stuff. It's kind of a really strong, compelling argument on why government shouldn't have a stake in this stuff, because they are just manipulating and tampering it themselves. PB, what are your feelings on this stock market manipulation? Like, do you think Congress should even be overseeing any of these committees, or should they be done privately under different things?
Isn't Warren G from California?
Yes.
Okay, so it's no wonder that Nancy Pelosi's theme song should be Regulators.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah. And another thing with Pelosi, too, is she has a lot of ties with Soros through a lot of these companies and stuff.
Oh, my
Soros,
favorite George. That's a lie.
well, George Soros, and they're tied with her in many ways. And now you have an election going on, and basically what her and everybody else is doing is they're saying, we'll make you, everybody in America, all you jerks, we'll do you all a favor. If you put Biden into office, all this rioting, everything will stop. We promise you. They're not coming out with those words, but they are hinting to that. So one thing we
That's
can
some
guarantee,
quality bullshit right there.
and here's one thing we can guarantee: if Biden wins the election, the day after, the rioting will stop. All the crap will stop. Because at that point, what will happen is once everything stops, they'll say, see, everything stopped. We weren't the crazy ones. They'll say Trump was the crazy guy. Trump was causing all this. And then a lot of people are going to believe this. And this is the master plan. And, it's so obvious what they're planning on doing. And, you could take this video and you can remember what I said. If Biden wins next year at this time, nowhere in America will there be any riots going on of significance. And in Portland, in Minnesota, where you got Democratic governors and you got mayors of these cities have been given their marching order by people like Nancy Pelosi. Right now, they're not trying to stop. Minnesota's literally, everybody's running out of Minnesota, but they don't care. Because the people running out of Minnesota are the ones that
I don't think they're running. I think they're hobbling.
Yeah, they're hobbling. Exactly. And, we're talking about Nancy Pelosi, but all this ties back to Nancy Pelosi because she is so powerful. And the thing that's scary is this woman's 80 years old. You figured she wanted to spend some time with her future, the future degenerates of the world, her grandchildren. And I hate to say that about her grandchildren, but they're going to be, the family is demented and twisted, and they think that everything in this world they're allowed to have. And so this is it's just not good. It's just not good. And the shame. And so what they're saying to us, they're saying if Trump wins, I think he's going to win because we talked about the polls a couple weeks ago, and I basically told you about how they're shaking them up and making them look like they're better than they are. They're polling 20% extras of Democrats in these polls, and it's in the very fine writing in the polls. But anyway, if he wins, they're not going to stop this. They're not going to stop it. Then the country's going to burn. So they're giving us as a people a choice: fight with Trump and fight with whoever and save the country, or let these little degenerates, these little scuzzballs, these little worthless nothings run around and keep injuring people, hurting people, because, in a group, they're very brave. I don't know. Did you guys see them when they went over up to the motorcycle rally? Did you see that?
No, I didn't get a chance to catch that.
Well, one of Antifa tried to kick one of the bikers' bikes. Next thing you know, you had like 30 bikers jump them. It wasn't pretty,
It's a
and
bad move.
it was, and it's Sturgis. There were some things, but the media didn't show anything that happened up there. What the bikers did to all these degenerates that were up there. There weren't many, just the one sort of crazy enough one up there. And they were surrounded by bikers just waiting for them to do one thing. And that one guy, like, he didn't even kick the bike, he lifted his foot. And the minute his foot came off the ground, the cops jumped on him, everybody jumped on him. But this is all that we have to look forward to. Either Biden wins, then the socialist movement will begin, and the government will take control of the country like it's never been controlled. Or Trump will win, and we'll have more riots. So, as a country, we're in big trouble. And this woman, Nancy Pelosi, is letting it happen. And she's not good. She doesn't have much more time on this earth. And it's just like she doesn't care, and she knows what's going on.
I want to bring up something good. Fights the Zombies makes a great point. He said if it wasn't for social media, these stories would never be told. And it's true. And it's sad because, I'm just a normal guy. I'm just a normal guy in an awesome car.
Say that. I've known you. You're my son. And nothing normal.
He said that he was a normal guy.
I mean, I'm just your everyday guy.
No, you're just a guy. You're a guy. You're definitely a guy.
And there's been debates about that.
This is why I don't get you guys on camera. Anyways, we're just people reporting this stuff, and the sad part is we throw out more facts here than your news. I remember being able to watch the news and get something, and now you can't get accurate local news. You can't get accurate world news. If you want to know about some stupid story about how a cat got saved or something, then it'll be accurate. The weather's never been accurate, so that's not accurate either.
Well,
so nothing.
There's a gentleman that has a podcast. Well, actually, his name is Tim Pool, and I showed you his station. And Tim Pool, he used to be a liberal Democrat, and he realized what's going on, and he has his own show on. He has like 500,000 followers, and a very when I do these shows, we have small audiences, but what I'm hoping is that, what you do is you keep telling stories. You hope that one of them goes viral, and then people start listening, and more people start listening. Because if anybody can prove me wrong about what I'm saying right now, I know you can't. It's obvious what's going on here. And when they had this Democratic convention last week, they literally were saying that, they were saying there are literally, if you watch that convention, the only white person that lived anymore was Joe Biden. All the white people were dead. I mean, I don't know white people in the Democratic convention. They pander what they do to race and how they talk about it continuously. Every day it's race, 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 race. They do not stop. But you know why I think they're going to be surprised? And PB, I'd like you to take this up once I'm done with this. I think they're going to be shocked come November because the black community is going to turn on them. And I think that they are expecting to get 95% of the black community. And I got a funny feeling that they're not going to get 70%. I think they're going to be shocked come election day. PB, what would you say about that?
Well, it depends on if they're concerned more about the percentage or if they're more concerned about the total number, because it might be more of they drive down people going out to the polls, because they'll be like, well, fuck this shit. I'm not going out there to vote for Joe Biden, and I wasn't going to vote for Trump, so I guess I'm not going to vote this year. So the percentage might still be a little higher, but the overall turnout, I think, is going to be lower than what they're expecting.
So you're saying this is going to be just like it was with Hillary?
Yeah, similar, quite similar. Like they're
Because
not going to have this
because of the black
massive
vote.
chunk that they can just guarantee, not to mention the Latino population that I think is going to be even more in Trump's corner after listening to all of the far left weirdos and knowing how much they're able to influence, I don't know, Special Joe.
Yeah. And, I actually felt sorry watching him the other day. People said they were saying what a great speech he got. And when I'm watching him, I'm watching a man struggling. And, what people should be doing is calling the Department of Aged and say, what's going on here? What are they doing to this man? Whether you like Joe Biden or not, it's obvious that he is a likable guy. And a lot of people like him on both sides, and there's no doubt about that. But what they're doing to him at his age, pushing him out there, and you could see that he's kind of like just barely able to survive. And I will be shocked if he goes and debates Trump. I don't see it happening. I just don't see it
Well,
happening.
and here's the thing that is a common long-running theme. You can look at any president. They are not the same when they went in as when they come out. You want to see a good example of that? Whether you like or hate him, Obama, man, when he went in there, he had the jet black hair, the swagger, the charisma. He came out and he looks like Santa Claus Obama. Like, he got the gray hair. He's a little beat down.
Well,
He
he's
had to go
meaner than
jet
ever, though.
skiing.
He's
I
meaner
mean,
than ever. He's meaner than ever.
yeah, but that's the thing that the job does to you is the job physically and mentally wears you down. You literally have to be crazy. That's why Trump, he looks exactly the
There's
same.
no doubt that Trump's as
And
crazy as
he,
It's
he,
funny. There's this report coming out with Sean. I found this kind of funny. Sean Hannity, who is in Trump's corner and a good friend of Trump's, and he's on the show. They said that he started gaining weight and smoking a lot of vape, and people would come into his office and Hannity would go, "This fucking guy's driving me crazy," talking about Trump, saying he calls me more than he calls his wife.
yeah,
And people
I
are
mean,
like, and I'm laughing about this. You could picture Sean Hannity there, but that's just how Trump is. Trump is, and the reality is that I'm surprised that Trump just I'm not surprised that he just doesn't say fuck this. I can't do this shit no more. I'm
I
going
mean,
down to Florida. I'm going to make a deal with these people. I'm going to tell them not to bother me no more, and I'll go away. If he told them that, they would say, "Okay, go." But
but
he's not going to do it. He's going to run. He's going to run hard.
but the thing is that, and this is the problem that both Democrats and Republicans had until Trump came along, is that all of these older people go and run for these positions, but the job is so stressed and straining that the people that they're pushing out to the forefront doesn't even make sense. I'd even take Bernie Sanders because whether you like or hate him, that guy is
He means what
crazy
he
enough
said.
to run too. I mean, he doesn't seem to have age affecting him either, but Biden is already, just from campaigning, the man is already worn out. If he did get elected by some strange miracle,
His wife
he
will be
wouldn't
running the
last.
country. His wife will be the president, and everybody
Well,
around.
yeah, that man ain't
Then
going to be running nothing.
his
How
wife
is,
will be running it, and the reason that they picked, and we talked about this, the reason that they decided to pick against her husband, they picked Kamala, is because I said the name wrong, so now they're going to call me a racist. But okay, Kamala, whatever the hell her name is. Well, the reason they picked against her, they picked her is because Joe Biden's wife did not want to pick Rice, who was part of Obama's inside people. And they were pushing to get Rice in there because they wanted to get Obama back into the White House, whether he's working in the cabinet or whatever. I mean, they could say he's Secretary of State, put him on the Supreme Court, whatever. Imagine him on Supreme Court. Guy never spent a day in court, and all of a sudden he's in the Supreme Court.
Imagine who on the Supreme Court?
Barack Obama. Don't be surprised.
Oh, fuck that.
If Biden
That'd
wins,
be worse than John Roberts.
it's going to happen. If Biden wins, Barack Obama will be on the Supreme Court. When Ginsburg, you mark my word, if he wins, Ginsburg is going to step down. They're going to name the next Supreme Court, and it's going to be Biden. No, I'm sorry, not Biden. No, Biden. He'll live 2 days. No, it's going to be Obama. You just watch and see. You got to remember, man. People think that you have to be a lawyer, and sure, Barack Obama's a half-assed lawyer.
No, you don't have to be a lawyer if you're a Latino lady.
Anybody could sit on the Supreme Court. Anybody. They could pick a truck driver.
You just have to be of age.
Yep. And
there we go. I can sit on Supreme Court.
Barack, and that's another thing. Like on the Supreme Court, John Roberts, who runs the Supreme Court, he's the big cheese on there. He's been voting.
Big dumbass cheese. Continue.
He's been noticed that when he came in, everybody said, "Oh, he's going to save the court. He's a conservative, so he comes into the court." But here's the thing: George Bush put him there. William Barr was friends with him. They put him on the Supreme Court, and now every time Trump comes up with something in the Supreme Court, he loses by one vote, and it's the one vote that at one time would always vote conservative. But now he's not. So it's obvious that George Bush is kind of playing in the background here. George Bush is
a liberal Republican. It's very frustrating.
And he's worse. And he's best friends with Bill Clinton, and the Clintons. Yeah. And he's also, and then Michelle Obama says how much she loves George Bush. So, it's kind of obvious that, if Trump wins, I will be, the most amazing thing is if Trump wins, with everything against him the way it is, it just won't, it'd be like amazing. It's like, it was amazing he won the first time. But when you shut down a country to beat a guy, when you start riots in the city, when you start killing people, when you raise crime rates, but I'm seeing a lot of things with a lot of black people in inner cities that are so angry that this is happening to them, and that the cops won't even go into the neighborhoods anymore. It's like a Wild West. So you got these good people trapped in the house, and you got these young kids running around with guns out in the streets. Or any child that's growing up in the ghetto has no chance. They're gonna have to join a gang if they want to live.
I work in a factory. I have a lot of black colleagues that I work with, that I'm friends with. They live in the Milwaukee area. If you guys don't know, that's kind of like our city area here. And they are always telling me about how they are so sick of this stuff. Because I've asked, I'm like, what do you think about this whole Black Lives Matter? Do you personally see the prosecution being done? And they said, no, man, I'm just trying to get home. I'm trying to get home. They're everyday workers. They work side by side with me, doing tough, hard, honest labor. And they want to make an hour drive back home. And when they get through the city, they got to deal with idiots sitting there holding up traffic and supposedly campaigning for the black man. And they're not helping the cause because they're not about that. They want to simply cause anarchy and mayhem. And tonight, that's what this was about. Pelosi is the front runner of this. This is a person who we've talked about all of her sins that are public knowledge, and no one's going after her. No one's saying anything, but yet she can sit up there on her high horse, ripping up pieces of paper, telling us about how Orange Man is bad, Trump is evil, he's the devil, yada, yada, yada. But yet she's over there insider trading. She's got family members accused of crimes and brought to trials, which have been dropped. Supposedly they
Raping
were
children,
innocent.
raping children, 11 and
Raping,
13.
raping kids. These are people who were her brothers, related. None of this it's all buried, but you can find it. Thank you, internet. You can find this all for yourself. And this is a really, really strenuous time. We're on a needle's edge. And these congressmen and women, they don't care about what's doing right for the country anymore. They care about what's going to be right for their pockets and for control. This whole thing is about control, controlling thoughts, controlling speech. Look, I cover the entertainment end of this. As far as the political stuff goes, I know enough to throw my hat in the arena, but my whole thing is entertainment. And I'll tell you how the two connect, two merge. Entertainment is going through the same exact thing where they are manipulating elections by using their fame to push politicians. They are putting donations to politicians that they want. And worst of all, they're telling these dumb college kids and young kids how to vote, not knowing the facts. This is the kind of state that we're living in. And then on the other end of it, you have these corrupt politicians pushing their views and twisting narratives and giving half truths and having CNN and MSNBC and all these other people spinning facts nonstop,
Fox,
because
too.
that's
You
what it
say
is.
Fox. All of them, Fox included.
All of them, Fox, everybody, spinning and manipulating and twisting and turning the information. And the sad part is, everybody, you want to know why YouTube's got the most clicks? Why everyone's getting hits? Why little channels like me are being watched is because they're
Our Tim
tired.
Pool. Our Tim Pool.
Tim Pool. All right, I'm not trying to promote Tim Pool. I'm trying to get some of his numbers over here. Anyway, but
I like to have Tim Pool come visit us.
I don't believe you.
We get, we'll have him replace PB one night.
with Tim Pool.
Wait a minute, they'll replace me with Tim Pool. I better shut up.
You're like, we got the other popular guy, but anyways, yeah. So people, the whole highlight of this is why I said Tales from the Crypt is because this bitch is ancient. I have no clue how she's still alive and kicking doing this. She's mean spirited. Her intentions, like everybody else we're talking about, is to manipulate and twist facts. And look, you guys don't have to, yeah, meow cat, a needle's edge. I thought that was a good analogy.
It's not the right fucking phrase, guy. It's razor's edge.
Whatever.
Hey.
They're both thin. Anyway.
Needles don't have a fucking edge, man. They have a tip.
Yeah, they do. Have you ever sewed anything? I've sewn on a patch, and I damn near sewed my finger onto the fabric. There's an edge on that, PB. There's an edge, a little pointy tip on that. You prick yourself with a needle and tell me it's not razor sharp.
Let's not start talking about pricks, okay?
Okay. Anyways, the whole point being is, I'm also getting in the chat here. Thank you guys for being interactive tonight. We're walking a very fine line, and either way can tip at any moment. And folks, what I want you to take away from this is you got to make your own decisions. You guys got to do your own research, and don't just look on one site. Don't just listen to us. Research is for yourself. Go out there. The information is floating out. They're not keeping it a secret. With the internet, you can't keep shit hidden anymore. There's stuff out there. Go find it for yourself and vote using your mind and, using the facts.
Oh, man. Like, if I could vote with telekinesis, that'd be bitching.
Anyways, we're gonna start to wind it down. We all got stuff to do. I got that new Snyder Cut trailer to talk about. Yay!
I'm going to take a Joe Biden power nap.
So you're gonna be asleep for a day and a half?
Yeah, day and a half. I'm gonna get
Wake up for a speech.
no, he was sleeping during the speech.
Jesus Christ.
They had some kind of invention. They had something just holding him up. You know, it's the same stuff they use for Bader Ginsburg. Same thing. But it's amazing that
Hey,
these
all out
people
of
that are so damn
bubblegum.
old.
You can stab someone with a spoon. I've seen it. All right. Anyways, let's go to everybody on the panel. Big Lee, do you got anything coming or anything you want to promote here? Your Facebook page, or I don't know.
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about one quick thing that is pretty amazing. George Floyd. George Floyd was murdered, and you know you keep having these jokers coming up and saying that George Floyd was high and was talking all weird and had all these drugs in his body. Yes, he did, but he was pretty much killed by a cop, a bad cop. That's just my opinion. And I'm a pretty conservative guy, but I'm not going to say otherwise because when you see someone with their knee on someone's neck for 9 minutes, so people really got to stop using this video that came out to say, oh, did you see that, you know, he had all these drugs in his body? Yeah, he had a lot of stuff in his body and he may have died. Maybe he was going to die from it. But the fact of you know, you can't make an excuse for this cop. You can't. And, you know, when you start making excuses for this cop that killed him, you really are lowering yourself as a human being. And besides saying that, one other thing. Maybe the smartest person in this whole thing with George Floyd is his brother. His brother started a GoFundMe page after George Floyd was killed. If anybody, once again, I'm going to give you facts. If you Google George Floyd and you go to his GoFundMe page, his brother has made $14.6 million from GoFundMe. So think about that. 14.6. His name's on it. The money is going. It's not for anybody but him. I mean, and legally, they can't take it from him. And I've been seeing this guy lately with $2,000 suits, driving around in a really nice car. There's a rumor that he's moving. And so did you know anything about that PB with the $14.6 million that George Floyd's brother got off GoFundMe? PB?
I was getting yelled at because I was kicking the dog.
Did you hear what I said?
Oh no, what was the question?
George Floyd's brother has gotten $14.6 million from GoFundMe.
Shit.
So
That's a chunk of change. Maybe he'll donate it to BLM.
Yeah, right. But I seen him on the news the other day. He had the most beautiful suit I've seen on a man in ever. You got to see this thing. The suit was beautiful. I mean, he doesn't even look like the same man. He looks like a movie star.
Hey,
you know?
we got a good comment here, PB. You want to read that? Because he just kind of mirrored what you
A
said.
lot of bubblegum said they're going to give any of that to the 30+ people killed by the protesters and rioters.
No, they're not. And you know, and that's another thing they're covering up. They're covering up murders of there's racist murders going on all over this country right now, and it's white people being murdered by very bad people, by bad white people and bad black people. And it's a massive cover up because every night, you know, somebody's being murdered somewhere. And you know, it's cold-blooded murder. And if Trump wins, the only way it's going to be stopped is if Trump's people put a stop to it. They can put a stop to it if they want to. And I'll give you an example. You know, there's also something else they're hiding too. All over the country, you have protesters being chased out of these towns, and the media is not talking about it. In the city, in Colorado City, in Colorado, once again, you go to the video and put in Colorado City chases out Antifa and BLM. You had all these cops and all these cowboys show up on horses and literally herded BLM out of the town. And you can hear BLM yelling, "Oh, why are you doing this to us?" I'm sorry, all the white members of BLM. There was not one black member of BLM in this town. And they were literally being pushed out of town, and it was so close. And here's my biggest fear. What's going to happen in one of these towns, these BLMs are going to go in there, and there's going to be about 40 or 50 of them that get killed. Something bad's going to happen. And it's going to be to BLM, or it's going to be to Antifa. Because when you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, something bad's going to happen. And, you know, it's like this person that just said about the 30 people that have been murdered. It's probably a lot more than 30. We just know of 30.
Yeah, a lot of bubblegum has been
I don't know how they know that it's 30 people, because I was told they all died from COVID.
Oh, I don't even want to get to the COVID. You know what?
And
that'll be a talk for us another day.
How about we do a show next week on COVID? I got some good facts.
So yeah, folks, we'll dig up some. We'll talk about COVID, because I've got some mixed feelings on it. I have come in contact with legit COVID cases, like people who legitly had it. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, I haven't gotten it yet. But hey, if you got that,
and you're old, you're at the age it's gonna really affect you.
I hate you. Anyways, if you're at a job and you're coughing and sneezing, take your ass home. Don't wait 3 hours in the middle of a shift. And then after you've done infected every workstation, come over and go, I've been coughing and my wife might have been in contact with someone with COVID, because your work buddies will beat you.
Yeah, his wife was in touch with her boyfriend and brought it home to the husband.
I don't know what happened. It was the weirdest thing ever, but we had a coworker at my job, came in, his leg was swollen, he was coughing, sneezing, and he was like, "Oh yeah, my wife might have been in contact with someone with COVID." Doesn't tell us for like 3 hours into the shift. He got immediately fired, so we don't mess around in my factory with that stuff. No one's trying to get sick. We're wearing the mask all day. Yeah, we're gonna get into that, because I got a lot of feelings on the policy.
I had two things. I was working in the butcher shop, and one of the guys I worked with, he's about 70 years old, and he's standing next to me, and he starts coughing. I'm looking right at him. I said, "What the fuck you coughing over here at me?" I'm ready to run out of the place. I'm like, I'm not supposed to believe this crap. And then the other day, I'm in the room, and my partner walks in, and she starts coughing. And I look up at her and go, "Why are you coughing here?" It's like, put it in, if we hear a little cough, we all start getting all freaky. And I think that's kind of normal, but I'm sure we all have stories. But you know what? Yeah, we're going to do a show about COVID next week. The schools here in Texas have opened up, and they have had no issues whatsoever. The only issues they've had right here in the schools in Texas is the insanity of all the new rules that they brought into the school. The kids are all complaining.
Yeah, we'll get into that, because if you guys didn't know, I work at a theater, and the new guidelines we have to follow is ridiculous.
You still work at the theater? I thought they fired your ass.
They can never get rid of a villain. Anyways.
And you know something? That's, being I know my son quite well, that's the longest job he ever had.
Oh, yeah, I got the key. I've got the key to the building, so they can kick me out. I'll still get in. You'll see me on one of the videos being carried out. I'll be like, "I just want to watch a movie."
Hey, PB, would you give the lead a key to your house?
Oh, I already know the answer to that. He would. He wouldn't even willingly let me in.
PB keeps disappearing. He must be having a bad night with his wife. Okay, I gotta go.
Well, no, I am and I'm not.
Okay, yeah. There's no such thing as you're in and you're not.
It's just background noise.
As long as we don't hear gunshots. Or you like all of a sudden a thump and you saying, I gotta go right back. I'll be right back. I gotta go buy some. I gotta go buy some. I gotta go buy some bleach. I'll be right back. I gotta go buy some bleach. I don't want to. Okay. Well, that's what I'm gonna do. I gotta go. I'm gonna go watch the ID channel now. Okay. You guys take care. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, you gotta go buy some bleach.
Take care, guys.
See you later.
See you next
So
week.
yeah, that's been the show. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk about COVID. Thank you all out of Bubblegum, Nicole. Let's see. I'm going up Meow Cat. I had quite a few people. I hate scrolling. Fights the zombies back. Lemon Pie. Thomas Connolly.
Lemon
We
pie,
had
Jamie Vick.
Jamie Vick, of course. We've had just tons of people. Nicole, I would love to give you the key to raid the popcorn, but I'm here in Wisconsin, so I don't know if that'll be very helpful.
What if
I'm not
she's
sure if it's a
also in Wisconsin, outside your car right now? Turn around.
Anyways, thank you everybody for watching. Hey, if you're new, don't forget to go ahead and give us a like if you like the video. And if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. I do great things. Me and PB have our funny, satirical Friday edition of the Late Night Talks, where we talk bullshit about entertainment, because entertainment's bullshit these days. So tomorrow I'm gonna have a review with
Supposed to
Stevie
tell
J.
everyone to
Ross.
share, guy. It's the most
Oh yeah,
important metric.
yeah. Share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Make sure you're sharing it on
No,
the Facebook.
share, and share. And then you can like and subscribe after you share. And then share and share. Then like and subscribe. And then share some more. And then like again.
But thank you everybody. We had a great time. Go and check out the Prophets of Geek Culture channel. That's more talk about entertainment. Go check out Pop Culture PB's channel. He's got funny stuff. He rants about things. He reviews things. I don't know what the hell he'll be talking about. What do you got?
Oh,
Like,
Wonder Woman 1984.
oh my God, yes. I got to put up my trailer reactions. I actually live streamed the teaser for Suicide Squad, but I shot it, so I'm
Yeah,
going
you
to
keep your
edit it.
pie hole shut.
Yeah. The cast for that is amazing.
Nope,
I'm gonna give you guys a
talking. No, you're
breakdown.
talking. No, you're talking about it. I asked you to keep your pie hole shut.
And if you guys had any
I'll
doubts, and if you guys had any doubts about the new Matt Reeves Batman, when Rob Pattinson said his line, "Oh God," I think he might be better than Christian Bale. I know, crazy. I gotta see the rest of it, but boy, that movie is gonna be something. So keep it right here for more entertainment info, some more world news. Until next time, see y'all later. Have a good night, and remember, wear your mask and don't cough on anyone. Peace.
Share, but not the man.